For a long time, life felt unfair in a way that couldn't be explained. Not dramatic, not loud, just quietly cruel. It wasn't that everything went wrong at once. It was worse than that. Things went wrong slowly, so slowly that Hope kept thinking it still had time to fix itself. He had done what he was supposed to do. He followed the rules. Worked harder when others rested. Stayed patient when others complained. Trusted that consistency would eventually turn into opportunity. But instead of progress, life handed him delay. Years passed, not wasted years, worked years, sacrificed years, years spent waiting for something to finally open, and nothing did. The hardest part wasn't the struggle itself. It was watching people misunderstand it. They thought he lacked ambition. They thought he was unlucky. Some thought he simply wasn't good enough. And after hearing it long enough, a dangerous thought crept in. What if they're right? There's a kind of loss no one talks about. Not the loss of money. Not the loss of people. The loss of belief in your own future. He didn't stop dreaming because he wanted to. He stopped because every dream reminded him of how long he had been waiting. So he shrank his expectations, lowered his voice, learned how to look content while carrying disappointment like a second spine. And life let him. It didn't rescue him. It didn't explain itself. It simply watched to see what he would do next. The turning point didn't come with success. It came with clarity. One evening, exhausted and empty, he asked himself a question he had avoided for years. If nothing changes, who do I become anyway? Not who he wanted to be. Not who life promised him. Who would he be by choice? That question hit deeper than motivation ever had. He realized something that changed everything. Life had taken opportunities from him, but it had not taken his authority over. Our meaning was still his to decide from that moment. He stopped living for results. He started living for alignment. He read differently not to escape, but to understand. He worked differently not to impress, but to sharpen himself. He trained his mind to stay steady instead of hopeful. No one noticed the change. That was the point. While the world saw stagnation, something else was happening. He was becoming unshakable. He learned patience not as waiting, but as preparation. He learned discipline not as punishment, but as protection. He learned that bitterness feels powerful but weakens the soul over time. And slowly, silently, he outgrew the version of himself that once begged life to be fair. Opportunity doesn't always arrive when you're excited. Sometimes it arrives when you're calm, enough to handle it. Years later, after he had stopped chasing validation, life offered him a chance. Not a miracle, not revenge, just a door. And for the first time, he didn't rush through it, because he wasn't desperate anymore. He was ready. The skills he had built in obscurity held him steady. The patience he learned in silence gave him clarity. The suffering that once felt pointless now made sense not as a reward, but as preparation. What surprised him most was this. The breakthrough didn't feel like victory over others. It felt like victory over who he used to be. Looking back, he saw the truth clearly. Life hadn't delayed him. It had deepened him. The years that seemed wasted were the years that gave him depth. The injustice that nearly broke him taught him restraint. The waiting that drained him taught him purpose beyond applause. And that is when he understood something few people ever do. Some lives are not built to rise. Fast, they are built to last. If you are in a season where effort feels unseen, where patience feels unrewarded, where time seems unfairly slow, know this, your life is not falling behind. It is forming a foundation strong enough to carry what's coming. And one day, when your moment arrives, you won't just succeed. You'll understand why it took so long.